Coming up on Nebraska Stories, a refugee fights for his homeland. Students pitch in for Pilger, a man who makes unicycles, and a tour of one of America's best trails. A former South Vietnamese soldier recounts his story of survival after the fall of Saigon and how he hasn't given up the fight for his homeland.
Vietnam is everywhere in Lem Ha's West Omaha home. In the decor, in the egg rolls and pho, a Vietnamese noodle soup that Lem and his wife Vung Tu prepare for guests. But it's obvious the passion for his homeland burns strongest inside this 64-year-old factory supervisor, where you can't see or smell it. In the late 60s, peak years for the war in Vietnam, Lem was a college student in Saigon. After graduating in 1972, he was called to serve in the South Vietnamese Army.
This is my company, number 725.
After officer training, Lem was assigned to teach high school in a city north of Saigon by day and patrol the streets at night. He never saw combat.
It's me right here.
His life changed when the North Vietnamese overran his city, then Saigon, in 1975. So once that city fell, were you basically on the run?
On the run. I take some students with me, go run through the jungle. We hiding and we just moving from the city to the city to try to connect with all the friends we had before 1975 and see what happened to them. Then some small group, they're hiding in the jungle. They're hiding somewhere in the mountains and jungle. Then I just moving and try to supply them medical and food for them can survive in the jungle till 79.
Were you scared during this time?
Yeah, we scared. We scared, but we thinking we have fighting back. We strongly believe we have fighting back because in no way we can lose the war with the North.
Lem, not surprisingly, doesn't have a lot of pictures from this time, but there are hundreds from his return to Southeast Asia. This happened in 1985, just 6 years after fleeing Vietnam by boat and settling in Nebraska.
That's a master plan when we building the training camp in Cambodia.
A secret camp on the border of Thailand and communist-controlled Cambodia. Lem helped build the camp, then was one of its leaders. He spent 5 years there, training other Nationalist Party fighters for dangerous missions that involved taking information and sometimes supplies to comrades still in Vietnam. What would have happened had you been caught?
Execute. I think so. I got another group. They cast them, then execute in Vietnam.
What caused you to want to go back and do this when it was so dangerous?
I don't think the communism they fit in my people. That's why we try to come back to fight back with communism. Because our goal, our party is independent, freedom, and happiness for the people.
After 5 years in the camp, Lem Ha returned to Nebraska, but continued fighting for the Vietnam he hopes to see by educating others and through political activism.
Are you still fighting? I say, yeah, I'm still fighting, but different way.
He keeps a reminder of what he's fighting for in his home office.
That's the South Vietnam flag. This flag now is a symbol of the Vietnamese communities. You can say that's a symbol of freedom because we against the communists because they don't have freedom, they don't have human rights.
This story was going to include David Spry, a close friend of Lem Ha. Spry was a U.S. Marine Vietnam veteran. Brutal battles left him with a lifetime of physical and mental wounds.
The experience, it changes you. When I came home, my mother didn't recognize me. She wanted me to be, the 18-year-old that she watched get on the airplane.
He spent a lot of time helping Lem's family and other Vietnamese refugees in the Omaha area, even made a trip back to Vietnam. Before he died in April 2015, Spry blamed his cancer on Agent Orange exposure during the war. But he was clear that he didn't blame the country of Vietnam or its people.
They last saw each other in Vietnam. Now, 40 years after the war's end, a twist of fate reunites two men.
I try to come to his office because I'm officer on duty, have to get the instruction and order from him. But he didn't say very much. And then he say, I think you understand. I just try to get home, bring my immediate family, my wife and 2 kids, and run back to the shipyard, ready for evacuation.
For the enemy, the communists, if they know that we are trying to get the ship out, they're going to kill me. So that is why we keep the secret, the plan secret, even for him. He wouldn't know. And my family wouldn't know either. My thinking is that we need to remind people of what happened to our history and how we get here in the United States, not as an economic refugee, but as a political refugee. We come here because we could not live under the communist regime.
Not only to Vietnamese young people, but American young people also as well. The freedom is not easy to have, not granted, So we should cherish the freedom.
The double tornado that scoured a path through Pilger might have been enough to make some people quit, but not the students of Wisner-Pilger High.
I hope they're taking shelter. Please be taking shelter. Oh, no.
When we got there, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Like, the entire town down the middle was just gone, and I couldn't believe it.
I saw people running all over the place, and I just looked around like, this can't be happening.
I just imagined this as just a dream. Then when you walk out the door and see everything gone,
it's like, wow, it just happened.
Cooper von Segeren's family farm took a direct hit by the June 16th tornado. Nobody knew this day would turn the community of Pilger upside down, but Cooper's teammates and friends knew they would be needed now more than ever.
I don't think any of us were prepared to see what we had seen on that day.
We went out to Cooper von Segeren's house, his house was completely gone.
We helped clean up because their whole house kind of caved in and there were trees laying everywhere. It was just devastating.
That was the first thing we wanted to do, was go out and help him make sure that he was okay. I just tried to comfort him while he was standing there. He was so much stronger than I feel like I could have been.
In Pilger, many were seeing the loss and feeling the pain of neighbors, relatives, and friends devastated in the midst of the storm.
Just seeing the teammates there and the family community there right away as soon as it happened. I can tell you right now, our family wouldn't be the place it would be right now if it wasn't for the community. But just having them there made us feel that much better.
Wisner Pilger athletes could see this was the beginning of a long road ahead, but they responded to the call and brought a positive light to a town filled with Mother Nature's darkness.
Immediately there, following, the students were arriving and wondering what they could do to help.
Being a captain on the football team, it was kind of my responsibility to get everyone together to get over there.
There was no stopping our kids from getting involved with helping on that.
We're a close-knit community in Wisner and Pilger, and when we saw that we came together as a family, it was a good thing.
Pilger never faltered, and that has shown through the toughness of the Wisner Pilger student athletes.
When they're smooth sailing, that kind of shows their personality. But when you have adversity, when you have challenges, that's when our character is defined, and our students' character was defined in those moments following that tragedy. They've taught us resiliency. They've taught us that it's okay to move forward.
I mean, that's a setback in life, and you just got to keep going with your head up, and it's gonna get better.
Responding to the call to clean up a community has bonded Wisner Pilger athletes beyond their sports, proving that a team is more than just wins and losses.
These moments like this, these tragedies like this, that truly define us, and I think it defined our students, and our students are, well, they're just great kids.
Up next, we go behind the curtain as UNL music and theater students present an adaptation of the opera Candide.
Once every 4 years, the Hickson Lee College invests in a collaborative production between the Johnny Carson School of Theater and Film and the School of Music. And for that production, we approach a show that is much larger in scope and scale than the productions we do in the intermittent years.
Although I can only ride with half my aces, I am missing one buttock.
It's really overwhelming, and I'm really thankful that I got to take part in the production. And then I got to learn another role, and a great role. And it's a show that's not very often performed, actually. So it's a really neat opportunity in that way as well.
The students have the opportunity in coachings, in workshops, and in rehearsals to actually learn the skills that they're going to be putting on stage when they actually get to the performance of the show.
I was not born in sunny España.
And I really treasure those moments when I get to talk to a student and see them do something that they've never done before. The props are all very different in nature, and the undergraduate students are having a wonderful experience learning how to find props that match the period and location of the scene in which they'll be used, and also how to create things from scratch.
I sometimes feel like a hoarder, like we have so many objects, but right now we're working on these sheep. We went and found real sheep and we measured them, and it was super fun. Kind of smelly.
I'm going through and checking the list against the stuff on the racks to see what's finished and what's not.
The costume designer researches historic costumes and tries to recreate a sense of time and place through the costumes she creates.
This is an excellent program because it provides a lot of hands-on opportunities that involve the student at all different levels of the production process.
Okay, so what this is right now is metallic gold paint mixed in with some of the polyacrylic sealer.
The students who are working with the designers on building the set pieces are learning how to do faux painting, to paint so that things look dimensional even though they're flat on stage.
This is great. It's everybody's dream to be able to paint something this big and detailed.
There's about over 250 lights in this show.
I have had a lot of opportunities since I've been here that I don't know if I would have gotten elsewhere, and so it's been a really great experience and I've learned a lot.
The director and the conductor have to have a very fine collaboration. Today, we're having one of the most exciting days in our preparation for Candide. We are having a Sitzprobe.
The word is German for sitting rehearsal. So it's a combination of the orchestra and all the singers, but minus costumes and minus action on the stage.
I think it's cool to be part of a production like this.
So it's kind of fun on this project. We're building a bathtub.
It's like really hands-on compared to most classes you take.
After months of planning and drawings and discussions and arguments and problem solving, it finally comes together.
So having this huge set of collaborators on this project makes it all the more involved and really impressive, and it gives us more to work with.
Whatever shall we do now?
Super duper, standby lights 0.2.
Yep, that's perfect. And can it be downstage just one smidge?
This was really great. This rehearsal was really efficient and
definitely an exciting step forward.
Yeah. Can't believe it's over.
In this fast-paced world, meet a man who relaxes by building handmade, one-of-a-kind unicycles.
Well, when I was in my early teens, I saw some guy on a television program that our family used to watch, and he came out of a grocery store with a package of groceries in each arm. I don't know that I would have ever seen one, a real unicycle before that. I saw that on the TV and I thought, well, I wonder if I can take a tricycle apart and reconfigure it and make one of those things and learn to ride it. So I was the first one to learn to ride, and then, by 1967, I had 6 brothers. So eventually all of my brothers learned how to ride, and they still ride today.
Unicycling really impacted us growing up.
and became a part of our identity because it's what we did. We unicycled around the neighborhood, we unicycled to school. Not everyone has a dad who will make them a unicycle, so when people find out that I unicycle, usually the first question they ask is it hard? And the second question is, how do I learn? Can I try? Usually it's, if they're still interested at that point, another question will be, where can I get one? And then it always goes back to my dad. Everyone I knew had a unicycle made by my dad.
Well, I don't have a machine shop. Sometimes I wish I did, but typical unicycles that are built at the Schwinn factory, or I'm not sure who else makes them. I don't have the technology for that here in my garage. It takes a lot of thought and some ingenuity, but that's how mine are built. And I guess they work okay.
When I was growing up, when I was 10, 12, 15 years old, if he was doing something in the garage, he would want us there with him in the garage. If we were outside, he was outside with us. The unicycling is a great example because that's something you do together. It involves a lot of time. He's gonna be out there alongside the tree, holding one of our hands, helping us learn how to ride. He had 5 kids, and he always seemed to find time to spend with us. And so he was just a very loving, very hands-on dad.
I like to give encouragement to people. Everybody needs an encouraging word, and some people need lots of encouraging words. Now, I'm eager to do that. We all need encouragement. And if a person just puts their mind to it and keeps at some of these unusual things, they can do it. It's just a question of determination and practice and sticking to it, and a lot of these unusual things can be done.
No, he never wanted to make a business out of them. He didn't really make much money off of them either. That's not really his style. Since he retired, he's become really active in his church. He's volunteers a lot of his time over there, fixing anything that breaks. I'll come over and he'll be fixing a neighbor's lawnmower, or some of the neighbor kids will be out there on the swing set. He is a full-time grandpa now. What's next for him is just not slowing down at all.
My second son in Stillwater, Oklahoma, Simon has asked me to build a unicycle for his 3-year-old son. Each unicycle is labor-intensive. There's a lot to keep in mind. But I guess it's important to keep the person in mind as well who's going to ride it, especially for my kids and grandkids, because that unicycle is being built for that person. I guess that would be an accomplishment of mine, I suppose, if some of my grandkids learn to ride, knowing that I built the unicycles that they're riding on.
The unusual formations of Toadstool Geologic Park make it seem more like a Star Wars movie set than a natural wonder. But our little gem of the West is now considered one of the best hiking spots in America.
One of the big appeals of this place is how quiet it can be, in the solitude you can find here.
Amazed at the time frame to build up the formations and then the slow erosion that uncovers what was done.
Toadstool is always changing. It is always evolving. There are layers of sandstone. Between those layers of sandstone, there are layers of clay. Clay's pretty soft. So we get these actual toadstool formations because that clay gets eroded away beneath that sandstone. So you get this huge piece of rock standing on top of this little pillar. It looks a little bit like a toadstool.
We saw a picture that was taken up here in the hillside, and it looked so unusual, we said we just have to see it. Are you ready to see some more?
Yeah.
Okay. So we altered our plans so we could take this in. There's our next post to follow too.
It is a place where you can actually walk back through time and get a chance to visualize what life was like before we were even here.
It's pretty cool. You can get to see tracks from critters that were running around here 30 million years ago.
We've been hiking a lot, getting into the rocks and seeing what we can find. It's just fun for us.
I kind of use my hands to climb the rocks and steep. My dad helped me climb the steep parts.
You come out to a place like this and you can't imagine why anybody wouldn't love this. It's just so spectacular.
It is a hidden treasure. A toadstool is one of those gems that not many people know about.
It's off the beaten path. It's lots bigger than I thought it would be. There's a lot more formations. It's nice to just not think about anything and just enjoy what you're doing, walking around, taking pictures, and not really worry about anything else. That's kind of why I like coming to places like this.
Watch our stories online at netnebraska.org/Nebraska Stories and go to Facebook to like us and leave a comment. Join the Nebraska Stories conversation. Nebraska Stories is funded by the Margaret and Martha Thomas Foundation and the Nebraska Office of Highway Safety. Sustained funding for arts coverage on Nebraska Stories is provided by the H. Lee and Carol Gendler Charitable Fund and the Nebraska Arts Council and Nebraska Cultural Endowment.